Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Prototype. This helicopter is really going to town. Doesn't know what it's doing. Oh well, it's bored now, I guess. So, before we begin, an interesting thing I haven't really pointed out is, well, now that we have 81% of the population of New York City on Manhattan infected by the virus, well, for a little while the tone of the city has actually changed a bit, mainly in its signage. At the end of most of the videos, I've been showing just little snippets and bits and pieces of the city in terms of what it looks like at the beginning, such as the spaghetti western sign, and not getting shot at. But at this point, and a little bit earlier I suspect, the tone significantly changes as the virus becomes kind of public knowledge. Do you know the signs? 1-800-GET-HELP, looking for a cure, that kind of thing. This gets more apparent as we head towards Times Square where all the signage is. You get some more grim kind of propaganda business going on, protecting America against the quarantine, in this together to kill us all, and skulls over the faces of the people. Stay home, stay safe, that kind of thing. It's that kind of attention to detail about how dynamic the world can be and the change of tone that generally comes out of it that makes me really appreciate how the world was designed, how New York was designed anyways. Another thing about this is that, well, since we're in Times Square, well, even the screens aren't really working that well. They're all flickering. Overall, it's really quite cool to see. Except for the tanks everywhere blindly fire. And that's a car just driving. What is with the cars? Come on. And there's one last sign up here, which is, we can treat you, except it's we can kill you. So that's kind of the tone that is in the world at this point. The military is kind of fighting a losing battle here, only able to keep at least some of the areas around the perimeter of the island okay. And one thing I didn't point out in the last video was where PFC Timothy Layman's was on the Web of Intrigue. We are now at 90%. Very close. We just have 2 more sequences left to go. Sequence 8 and 9. But let's get back to the task at hand. More upgrades. You may be noticing that upgrades are incredibly expensive now. Which means that you're going to be losing a lot of your evolution points that you probably have been stockpiling. Especially me, because, well, I've gotten all the landmarks and hints very early on. Haven't really been able to use them all that much. But now I am. I'm going to get the 2 most expensive power upgrades at this point, including the Blade Air Slice. Arguably the most powerful, power-based move in the game. It's a charged up blade move, technically. Use it in the air and you can do massive damage. And when I mean massive, usually a one-hit kill. On some cases. The other move I'm going to get is the Bullet Dive Drop, which is effectively probably the quickest way of getting from a high altitude down to the ground and doing the most amount of damage. The only problem is that it doesn't lock on very well. You lose a lot of accuracy. It doesn't track well, so you really have to be paying attention to how well you're controlling Alex. Now, anyway, on to the mission. It's really at this point, I mentioned last video that you kind of got the feeling with the phone calls and the locations on the map that it felt more open of what you're going to be doing, except that we're coming back to the same payphone that we're using from last mission. So yeah, we're gonna be here for a couple of times, but now we don't have a phone. So can we go to another payphone, please? No? I didn't think so.
Mercer, right now Blackwatch's only motivation is fielding the blood tox weapon as far and wide as possible. They're already moving to blanket the island with it, and once they have you boxed in, they'll move in for the kill. You need to break their grip on southern Manhattan before they can expand their coverage radius.
Who the hell is this? Blood tox breaks down anything infected with the virus. Dispersed through the air, it's like a modern-day Agent Orange.
Wouldn't we love to know who Mr. Man behind the phone is?
Dig it out.
Alex also has different things to say about blood tox at the beginning of this mission. He also mentions in another line that blood tox causes necrosis in the virus, so pretty much it just kills the virus. I prefer that one though, because it kind of gives a similarity to real-world properties. Now this particular mission is actually incredibly similar to one that we've done in the past.
The blood tox burns. Hit and run is all I can do.
Very right there. We can't get very close to those blowers. We have to take them out as quickly as possible in order to get to those areas. There are 9 of them to destroy. Sound familiar to an earlier one? I don't blame you if you forgot. Because this particular mission, the Dream of Armageddon, is very similar to the mission in the web, which was where we were destroying detectors, trying to make sure that Dana's safe house wasn't compromised. Pretty much the same deal here. Kill all the blowers. Which means, time to unleash a huge amount of our new abilities out in terms of showing off what we can do. It has been a while and we have a ton of new abilities. So it's another variety mission, which is not terrible. However, this one is a little bit more challenging because not only are we dealing with the Blowtox blowers, but of course we're also dealing with the super soldiers, increased tanks, more stronger tanks, and just a lot of other things. Like that, for instance. Yeah, that's a helicopter that got a nice shot on me. There we go. Might as well get you out of the way. Still don't really understand why the helicopter targets the way it targets. It's usually based on priority, but it should be more on proximity. Especially because I think it's targeting a blower down there, but I'm not entirely sure, and it's too far away, and I don't want to use a helicopter on that, because that's too cheap, I guess. Instead, let's break out the Hammer Fist. You two don't notice that I'm here. Nope. Alright, well, let's just get rid of the blower. Elbow drop! I'm surprised to kill it in one shot, but I guess it depends on the height. Now this mission is pretty much the same as in the web, but I don't think that's really that much of an issue. I rather like it because of its structure. To me, it makes me realize that there's a ton of abilities that I could use in order to make it a bit more variety-based. And this is what happens when you get killed by blood tox. Whee! That last shot kind of looks like a postcard. Just without the Alex is dead on it. Anyway, back to this. I rather like it. A lot of people could obviously argue that this mission in particular would be very boring because you can take care of the blowers in the same way 9 times. It can be repetitive, it can be really not that creative. But really the creativeness does not come from the game itself. It comes from you. It reminds you that you have a ton of ways of dealing with things. Now let's drop a helicopter on these guys. Or kind of. Not really, though. Alright, 4-on-1 in terms of super soldiers is kind of annoying. 2-on-1 is rather manageable. Now, I believe I've never actually kind of looked into the facts that are made about the super soldiers based on the web of intrigue targets. Is that there are apparently only 161 of these super soldiers made. I don't know if Blackwatch has done any more research or made any more subjects in particular. I know, I'm being incredibly detailed, but I don't think you ever do fight 161 of these guys. It would have been a nice detail, but, well, oh well. Yeah, just continuously counter, and I want to fight you on this roof, but you just, like, continuously backing up. And I also do that. Forgot I also had the bullet dive drop. That would have been better to use. Like that. And I believe with every one of the blowers, I think, maybe 1 or 2 are missing. I think the first one didn't have any super soldiers, but there's at least 2 super soldiers per Bloodtox blower. Why is that a tongue twister? To me, it shouldn't be. Alright, let's see the power of the Blade Air Slice. Not only is it powerful, but it's incredibly easy to use, because it's only one button. You can fully charge it extremely quickly, and then you're just go to town. It's really great. Now the next thing I want to do with this next blower is get my health back up so I can use a Devastator on it. A different Devastator. I could use like a mix between Devastators, but usually it'll only take one, because Devastators are really powerful. So, critical mass back up. Let's see what I can do with this blower down here. If you're having trouble actually seeing the blowers down on the streets, you can use thermal vision in order to do it. And for some reason, the Air Graveyard Ground Spike Devastator did not work. And I know why. It was because I landed smack dab in the middle of the traffic light that was just kind of right on top of it. So dumb. I will say that indefinitely. So, take 2. Yeah, all the smoke that it makes, you can easily get rid of that with the thermal vision. So, there are some uses, but, well, it's all contextual. Not really necessary. Easy. You can see down on the map at this point that there are 2 red arrows with, like, detector indication on them. Those indicate super soldiers. The small little circles on the mini-map as well. But right now, for the next one, I want to actually get more use out of my artillery strikes, because I haven't really been using them all that much. So, well, really in order to use them, I have to stop being noticed, and I don't want missile launchers everywhere. Hi. Okay. I don't know what we're looking at, but, I think we can make a good report. How about you? Totally! Yes! I will make the best wall report ever! Then Captain will really love me. Anyway. Time for using artillery strikes on this particular blower down here. Let's see if it's kind of effective.
Fire on my 12, fire until expended.
Who comes up with these code names? Okay, Baker double down, that's fine. So not only do we have 3 artillery strikes at our disposal, but they have 2 upgrades in the power and range department.
Gone, do you hear? Sustained fire. Cross it off the checklist. Out.
The issue is that the God missiles don't really have a good accuracy rate at all. Yeah, they just come from the sky. God just delivers it. It's only half dead. So, well, artillery strikes are definitely not the way of doing much. So let's use the whip. The whip is one of the weaker options in terms of powers to get rid of the blowers, so you can use it in combination with something. Hope these hunters don't actually keep following me. Another thing, of course, using is conventional weapons. Those also work.
We've lost contact with one of the TOX teams. All units, escalate to combat alert. Possible Zeus contact.
So yeah, in terms of story, this one kind of just falls into the area of filler. But it's a nice reminder, so it's not entirely useless. And drop, yeah, that veered right off course, because that's what happens with the bullet dive drop. It gets even worse when you're just kind of really high up. But the higher the altitude, the lower your accuracy is probably going to be. Alright, one more. And there's one move that I actually haven't been using very often. And the issue is that the button combination for it is kind of annoying to pull off. And that move is... Let's get onto this roof. That move is Cannonball, which is incredibly powerful. So, all 9 blowers are now destroyed. So, let's complete the mission by defeating some enemies. The easiest way to do that, of course, is to get inside some sort of vehicle. Let's see how well I can do with this tank. So I don't know what actually we were accomplishing with this mission. All the guys said was, over the phone said that the blowtox blowers were going to be spread across the city, which meant that we would have a lower area of mobility. Eventually we would be snuffed out. But, so we destroyed their first field, and honestly it's going to be the same way as when they laid down all the detectors. They're just going to not lay anymore. They're not going to be more persistent. So at least we have free mobility around the area again. I don't believe blowtox blowers actually show up in the game. After this mission, which is kind of why it's a bit of a toss. What do we have left? Oh, up on the roof. Okay. There we go. All the military is dead. And that's it for the mission. It's a good reminder. It reminds you that there is a ton of abilities that you're able to use. The only problem is that it's a bit of a throwaway. But it does give the interesting perspective of, now that we've gotten rid of the above ground blowers, they don't seem to be much of an issue to take down. That means the military has to rethink their planning of how to distribute the blood tox. If they can't do it by regular, simple means, what other tools are they going to use in order to filter the blood tox around New York? Will this affect us, or will this affect everybody else besides us? Or at least above ground people? Maybe they'll go underground. Who knows? We'll see next time. See you next time, everyone. It's always nice to go to a pub every now and again, but this pub has some very special items on the menu. The wonder of cocoa bits. I want to know. I want to taste the island. What does it taste like?